What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Ghost Guide video. Today we're going to be talking about the Obake. If you would like to see what my settings are for this particular custom, they'll be in the description box below. Without further ado, let's go talk about the Obake. All right, dining room ghosty over here. So we just gotta set up. All right, I can hear it throwing a bunch of stuff here. Let's look for Orbeez right off the bat. I'd actually want to turn this light off because, oh, there it is. Orby. Let's go. I'm always debated by orbs, so I'm glad that it came to us super early on. No writing so far. We're gonna assault here and assault here just to increase our chances of it stepping in the salt soon. Oh, that sounded like an EMF 5. Oh yeah, EMF 5. Raiju or Obake. Let's go. Okay, so we're gonna either have feet or we're gonna have dots. Okay, well, heart attack. I'm gonna take salt and a crucifix and also another dots pen. Hopefully it hasn't stepped in our salt at the moment. You broke my light, didn't you? Yeah, you did. That's so unfortunate. You did step in some salt, but not all of my salt. I'm gonna be so sad. I'm gonna be so sad if this is an Obake and we loop it and you broke my lights over here. All right, you stepped in both of my salts, so I need you to step again. Cause I didn't see your feet. Can you just step again, please? Please step again. Ooh! It knocked on a window, and I don't know why it sounded like it was behind me. I do not see fingies, but this doesn't necessarily mean it's not an Obake. Would really like to, oh, stepping. Ooh, you are an Obake, and you broke my lights over here. It's gonna be so hard to see this Obake shapeshift. Oh no. So I'm realizing that I prestiged recently, and I don't have sanity pills. So before my sanity absolutely tanks, we're gonna talk about the Obake a little bit before we actually go in and play around with it, because it has already broken my lights, and this is a very visual ghost. The Obake hunts at 50% sanity, and its speed is 1.7 meters per second with normal line of sight speed up. This is the only ghost that has a chance to not leave fingerprints when it touches a door or a window or a light switch or anything where fingerprints can be. Obakes only have a 75% chance to leave a print. So 25% of the time when it's touching things, it may not leave fingerprints. So it may leave you thinking that you don't have fingerprints or UV evidence when in fact you do. Then when it successfully leaves a fingerprint, it has a 16.7% chance for it to leave a special print. And of course, we are going to look for that special print, but everybody knows it as the 6-fingered fingerprint. Light switches, keyboards, and prison cell doors all have their own special Obake fingerprints as well. Light switches will have 2 fingerprints right next to the light switch, and so it'll kind of look like the tips of its fingerprints were printed right in between the light switch. We'll see if we can get that to happen. It is near a light source, so maybe it'll do it, but can't guarantee that it will. Keyboards and cell doors will have 5 fingerprints instead of 4. So when you think about when you're touching a keyboard, you have mostly it's your 4 fingerprints in a line up here, right? But since there's a 6th fingerprint for the Obake, it's gonna leave 5. Your thumb is not being printed on there. And it's the same with the doors, with the cell doors. So along with its fingerprint ability, it also has the ability to half the time remaining for all existing fingerprints on the map. So if it originally had like 40 seconds on its timer left for its fingerprint lifespan, then it could half it to 20 seconds. So let's say that we have 2 sets of fingerprints on 2 different doors inside the map. This set of fingerprints has 40 seconds left on its lifespan, and this set of fingerprints has 10 seconds left on its lifespan. When it uses its ability to half the lifespan, this one will now have 20 seconds left in its lifespan, and this one will have 5 seconds left in its lifespan. This ability can stack, causing some fingerprints to vanish in only a few seconds. So it can make its fingerprints disappear so quickly that you never see them, and you may never suspect Obake. Now for this next part, this is really interesting because a lot of my notes that I do for these Ghost Guide videos, I did a long time ago, but Phasmophobia is always changing. And so the mechanisms for the Obake shapeshift have since changed. Originally, it was for every blink that the Obake did, it had a 6.66% chance of shapeshifting at that point. That is no longer the case, and I've been living under the assumption that it has been this whole time. So the way it works now is, first of all, Obakes will always shapeshift into the same gendered ghost. These shapeshifts will always occur on the 12th, 27th, 39th, 54th, 62nd, 80th, 105th, 120th, and 132nd flickers. That is a long hunt. That is an incredibly long hunt. I would just like to point that out. This means that the first shapeshift will happen approximately 7 to 9 seconds after the grace period ends. So if an Obake kills a player before that, you may never see that ghost shapeshift. While shapeshifting, the Obake has an order of models it will use, but it will first shapeshift using the first model on the list, depending on the gender of the ghost. Then the second shapeshift will be the second model, and so on and so forth until it reaches its own model. At which time, when it reaches its own model in the list, it will shapeshift into itself with a more or less visible posture reset. That is completely different to how I used to know it, and so this is why I'm always consulting the Phasmophobia Wiki and my notes at the same time, but making sure that my notes in the Phasmophobia Wiki agree. It's important to note that dead players cannot see Obake shapeshifts and that Obakes have forced fingerprints evidence. So if you're limiting evidence in any of your games, Obakes are going to have fingerprints, always. All right, and the last thing to note is that both the shapeshifting and the fingerprint duration reduction will count as an ability in the post-game screen statistics. So I'm glad that I caught that, because I was prepared to tell you guys that for every blink that the Obake does, it has a 6.66% chance of shapeshifting, and that's not true. That is no longer true. I wonder if people were just not getting shapeshift happening enough, or to the point where it just wasn't happening at all. So it's very unfortunate. And let's see, what ghost do we have? We do have a female ghost, which means that it can be crawling, which is really unfortunate. We may have to loop over here, but hopefully we haven't seen the model yet. So hopefully it's just one that doesn't crawl normally. All right, I want to double check. I think our ghost is still over here. I can still see my breath, but I don't know where our thermometer went. All right, here's our thermometer. Just want to double check to see if our ghost is still here. It's holding kind of steady over here, but I don't know. It was doing a whole bunch of stuff elsewhere too. The wiki also says another way to identify an Obake is by spotting its missing footstep sounds, either in a sequence of +3 steps after it steps in a single salt pile, or during fake hunts, known as ghost events, or music box events. So apparently with music box and ghost events, the Obake is the only ghost that will sometimes miss a footstep sound, which is likely a bug. So who knows how long that information is actually going to be applicable. But I have noticed with Obakes that oftentimes when they're stepping in salt, we have some missing footprints, and it just doesn't quite make sense. Okay, I want to for sure make sure that this ghost is over here before I place any salt, because I want to be able to show this off, and this is my last thing of salt. And unfortunately, I have tier 1 salt, which also means that I get 1 less pile per can here. Kind of feeling like our ghost has moved, and I kind of wonder if it's over here. Yeah, it's over here. All right, so let me place my salt over here. Let's go ahead and place here and here. Get my flashlight just in case. I'm getting a little concerned because I'm hearing a bunch of stuff in the garage. You stinker! Okay, well, I may have to try to get an Obake off screen and take a look at its feet when it steps through the salt and insert it into the video for you, but this ghost is being a little stinker. So since we can't look at the feet because it doesn't want to do that, let's just go ahead and get it to hunt, shall we? So remember, we're looking for it to shapeshift, probably. Oh, actually, no, there's one other thing that we need to showcase before we get it to hunt. That is not its special fingerprint. Not a special fingerprint. However, we can get it to hunt and then also check all the doors that it has touched after the fact. Try to get the special fingerprint. But for now, let's go ahead and just break the board. Excuse me, this is a mirror. We do know this was grandma, so... All right. Oh, there was the shapeshift right there. The blinks do be happening very quickly. Woo! There it is. There it is again. Woo! Getting stuck. There it is again. not used to looping over there, so for some reason, and, you know, keeping a real good eye on the ghost. That's the thing, too, is I was trying to keep a good eye on the ghost. We'll have to see if it shapeshifted in the correct model order, because that'll be really interesting. Grandma? All right, I'm gonna try to get the special Obake fingerprint, and while I'm waiting, we're just gonna jump cut to when I do finally get it. All right, she touched a ton of doors over here. She touched that door, but it did not leave fingerprints, unfortunately. All right, she touched over here. Here we go. We found it. We found it. This is the special Obake 6-fingered fingerprint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fingerprints right there. So if you ever see this, it's a very distinct one because it kind of has that pointed shape at the bottom with a hole in the middle. That's how you know that's the special fingerprint. It's so pretty. I honestly love it so much. I actually have beanies with this Obake fingerprint on it that my best friends merch too. All right, there's the fingerprint one more time. And I think that's all we're gonna get. Because honestly, I could probably be here for hours and maybe never get it to use its ability on the light switch. That's the unfortunate part there. And since its room is not in a room with a keyboard, I don't think we're gonna get the keyboard fingerprint either. So I think that's where we call it. I'm gonna try to see if I can find an example of the Obake footprints in the salt and how they kind of skip a couple of steps. Come on, Obake, please work. Do your steppies. Oh, right there. Right there. That was skipping steps right there. I mean, that was kind of a long way to jump, you know? That might have been the Obake footsteps. Kind of hard to tell. Like, I would never use feet to determine if it's an Obake, but I don't know. It's just something, another tool to have in your tool chest. You know what I mean? I don't know that I will have an example, unfortunately, of the music box either because I was already 0% sanity when I was using the music box, so it kind of didn't do any sort of stepping at all. So anyway, that's the Obake for you. Let's go. And there we have it. We have the Obake. So look at how many abilities it did, because it should be a lot. 37 abilities. That is, in fact, a lot of abilities. All right, that's everything you need to know about the Obake. If you have any questions or anything to add about the Obake, please leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next Ghost Guide video. Bye.